My name is Mark Brand. You are listening to Better. I'm a social impact entrepreneur, so I build businesses that are in service to the greater community. So Better was formed to be a tool for everyday advocacy. I think anytime we take people's attention, we have to give something. Folks, welcome back to Better. This is our new format. In between interview weeks, we are going to be having these discussions that are really a little bit of a dissemination of what we've just got to listen to prior to you getting to listen to it.
Long before colonization, people walked gently on this land. People who honored the soil and saw water as sacred. For thousands of years, they lived in balance with the earth.
Our Indigenous communities had survived for countless generations utilizing the world around them.
Their knowledge wasn't written in books, it was spoken, sung, and lived.
That knowledge got broken when it comes down to the boarding school and residential school systems.
We didn't just lose culture, we lost understanding. An understanding of how to live with earth, not above it.
How do we really ramp up local food systems and utilize a lot more of these plants around us that could feed us and could really set us apart from all these different regions?
As the planet warms and the wilds disappear, the wisdom we ignored is the wisdom we now need more than ever.
It's us.
It's us.
In person.
Back at it again.
Every time we line up a guest, I have these unfair expectations on them that they're completely unaware of. And then they show up and knock it out of the park.
Yeah, I'm seeing a theme.
And it's relentless. Somehow it continues to level up.
Yeah.
And Chef Sean was no different. So we just finished with the Sioux Chef, Sioux. Great play on words. And I got to meet Sean. We got to cook together in Kauai at a food conference and around regenerative agriculture and food sovereignty. And he cooked the dinner after me the next night. And I get to hang out in the kitchen with them all. And some folks from Hawaii and just their indigeneity all sort of blending together in the work. And I was blown away. Like, we work with a ton of folks on the West Coast and here, and we get to try different foods, but the differences from like Lakota Nation all the way across to obviously Squamish or Mi'kmaq where we are as different as Japanese and French. And
right.
Like, it's so cool. So to have him just now, like, it was so much fun.
Yeah, definitely. And like, from somebody who only really knows how to make cereal, I'm very blown away.
What are we talking about? What do you mean you only know how to make cereal?
Mark, I can't cook, like, at all. Like, I can't cook, and it's so terrible and awful, but I will say I'm very inspired to learn how. And after this episode, you guys make it sound so accessible, and you just got to work a little hard. And like, now I want to have a garden, and like, I have all of this stuff running through my head.
I have 10,000 questions. How do you feed yourself? If so the one that hits me, like the biggest trigger for me, is when people are like, I burn salad. And I feel like being like, who hurt you?
Yeah, right.
Like, what happened in your life that you decided that this was challenging?
Yeah.
And so I got to ask you, like, why don't you cook? And I am not in any way trying to shame you. Right. I'm just curious.
No, and that's so valid. So growing up, my mom would make these like lovely dishes and like everything like that. But my dad was always a picky eater, and he would say no. So then I, being like 3, would be like, oh, I can say no too. And then I just kind of like never really adventured out into different foods. And I kind of just stuck with my comfort beige foods for a very, very long time.
I need a phone call with your dad immediately.
Right.
I mean, agency is important to learn as a child.
Right.
But when it's applicable to like not being experimental with things.
Yeah.
That's a bad habit to get in. I feel for your moms too. Like, immediately I'm like, she works so hard, Maddie. Just for you to say no.
I know, right?
So cooking comes down to like 4 basic skills, right? And things are hot and they're sharp and they can be dangerous. But I've been teaching 5-year-olds to cook for years, and all the way up. And we'll be doing this in Halifax at our kitchen on Nora Bernard Street. There's a thing that happens with kids where they have absolutely no fear of things. So they're cooking whole fish. Like,
oh my gosh.
They're making beef Wellington. Like, they're laying out lasagnas because it's so easy. Wow. Cooking is so easy. And
really?
So universally, when we're talking about it, it's kind of like saying, yeah, I'm an adult, but I don't really walk. Like, what, you breathe air, you walk. Like, it's such a simple skill.
Yeah.
So I have a challenge, which is that you're going to be in one of those cooking classes for sure.
Definitely.
But we went all the way out in today's episode into food sovereignty, equity, inclusion, but also talking about traditional and historical landholders. Like, I have a million things I want to say, but I'm more curious as to what like you gleaned and what you want to talk about.
Yeah, definitely. So some of the stuff with back to the kitchen a little bit. He said, in the kitchen, you're constantly playing with chaos.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was so interesting because somebody who's not in the kitchen and knows kind of nothing about it, it gives me a glimpse into kind of the world that you guys live in. And I thought that was pretty interesting. And then hearing what he had to say about like, you know, working with Indigenous ingredients and like, you know, how he finds things and everything, I thought that was so interesting as somebody who doesn't really know a lot about cooking, and I'm really learning everything from this podcast.
Certainly. So let's not take the kitchen is chaos. It's organized chaos, but that feels also like positive reinforcement on it being inaccessible.
Yeah.
And it absolutely isn't. He's talking about professional kitchens that are feeding 400 people in a 4-hour window, right? Where you have 5 people, maximum 6, who are working on every single one of those plates, and there are multiple components and everything has to be perfect and to temperature and execution, and they all have to taste the same every single time.
Yeah.
That is the beautiful dance, which is also organized chaos.
Right.
Making a chicken thigh at home with a salad is about as easy as setting a timer. You know, like it really just is about, and also feeling your way through it. And so what I loved about what Sean brought to this was, we are everything we need and all the solutions are right here.
Yeah.
And he approaches things with such an openness and like a approachable way. Mm-hmm. I did a talk in Brooklyn, I want to say it's like 6 years ago now, and it was to organizations or NGOs specifically. And I was on a panel about forgiveness and how forgiveness plays in our work. And one of the people who was there teaches yoga in like maximum security prisons. Mm-hmm. There was a bunch of people doing that kind of work. And when it came to me, they were like, you know, what do you think our biggest challenge is as organizers and as advocates? And I said, do you want my real answer? And they said, yes. And I was like, us. And they said, what? And I was like, we are the most exclusionary group, because if you don't have a vernacular or you don't understand what it is we're advocating for, we can be really like closed-minded and shut down.
Right.
Because we are kind of beaten down by the things like poverty and homelessness and hunger and those things. Yeah. That's exhausting stuff.
Right.
And so if you don't know it, it's not my job to lift it for you, which is also valid in certain communities. But Sean approaches the work as I try to approach the work, very similar, and I aspire to be more like him all the time, in a way of like, it's going to take all of us, and this is really, really helpful for us.
Yeah, and to your point too, the younger generation. He talked a lot about, kicking doors open for the younger generation. And I love that, being 22, listening to this. It seems like a theme with your guests too, that, you know, they're uplifting this like Gen Z, you know, generation. And I think that's so important because a lot of people don't know. I didn't know anything about cooking. Are you kidding me? I knew nothing. I thought everything was fine. And each episode that I've been sitting in for, I've learned something different. And I've tried something new, or I've had a different conversation with a friend that I would have never had before. And I think that's like the entire point of this podcast, is to create these conversations and, you know, to spark that creativity to try, you know, new things.
I don't think there needs to be another talking head, particularly another talking cis white guy head on the internet that's not bringing value.
Right.
And so when I was asked to do this show, it goes back almost 8 years now when I was first approached. And the way that I was approached was like, hey, it would be great if you have a podcast. And my immediate thing, instead of going into ego and being like, awesome, let's do it, was why? To what end? Like, what do you want me to do that's of value? And it's like, oh, well, you have so many tools and you've built these businesses and you have entrepreneurship and impact and all that. I'm like, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's all accessible. So what is it that you think that I can bring uniquely? And the person who immediately, like, first approached me took it away and came back 3 months later and was like, this is what I'm thinking. And it would be cool if you could do like long interview format style. And really, because you have relationship with people already, you can dive deeper and pull out some actual tools versus just their press release. And that's when it sort of struck me of like, I have this extraordinary privilege to be backstage at all of these things, or get to witness. I just got to witness Sam Altman and Chris Anderson from TED, from the audience, talk about AI. And I was like, this is a JFK moment. Really? Like he's being pushed and like, what's the regulations and are we going to have overlords? And I'm witnessing this. But what really needs to happen is your generation to have access to all of that, not the edited format, not the format that the PR team puts out afterwards, but actually the conversations with the Seans where we can ask the questions where it's like, cool, where do I start? How do I see myself in this?
Right. And even with like cooking too, it's like, it seems so intimidating and there's so much, but it's like, if you just take it, I don't know, what I learned is baby steps. And I'm like, it doesn't have to be this huge, crazy, insane dinner. It can be something small, or like, I don't know, growing my own basil. Like I was thinking like, oh my goodness, I'm going to do that. That's going to be my little step towards like trying to have my own little garden.
Yes.
And we'll see.
And you'll probably kill the basil the first time, and that's okay.
1000%.
It's totally fine because it grows like a weed, essentially.
Amazing.
And I mean, I relate it to, I got to hang out with Amaury Gauchon, who's got like, I don't know, 45 million followers. He's the pastry guy that doesn't say anything and like builds these beautiful, I think he just did Super Mario's head.
Oh my gosh.
And he was in Vancouver and we got to connect. And I was like, what he does and what I do as somebody who's been cooking for 35 years, I will never, and I mean ever, remotely be able to even make a small chocolate that he makes, because it's not what I do.
Right.
You are not going to cook like I cook.
No.
Or you might, because my style of cooking is not to make it complicated. Like we're serving almost 5,000 people a day. Mm-hmm. It can't be beef Wellington, although it might be. It can be with our level of chefs and our team, but it's what is it that you're doing to nourish yourself? And I think what Sean really hit on, and it struck a chord again for me, is like food as medicine and as fuel, food as resistance, like food as advocacy. And those are all the things that the pillars of what we do. But you know the difference in your body. And so I think starting the design, if you're listening to this at home with, when I do a reduction diet, take away things that have complex sugars or saturated fats. My God, ChatGPT can do that for you in 5 seconds and design a menu. And then when you start to eat things and your body feels better for it, not worse. And that's where it starts, right? Yeah. Is the like, I had this thing, now I feel terrible. Or the classic sort of Western dad lazy chair. Like I had my TV dinner and now I'm exhausted. No kidding. Right. You just literally poisoned yourself.
Right.
And you're wondering why you're tired.
Yeah.
So if you're eating properly, you're energized consistently. And I'm not saying Red Bull protein shake CB4, like followed by a protein bar while you're running out the door. I mean like whole foods. And I think the most important part of that design is like really whole foods, buying a whole chicken, buying a whole thing of celery and be like juicing the ends and eating the sticks and stewing off the rest and making stocks.
Right.
We didn't need much to subsist.
Right.
And when we look at everything from beef jerky through to bone broths, these are indigenous, original recipe pieces that sustained people for millennia. You know, like it's really special. So I feel like that re-landed for me and I'm really energized by it and charged by it. But I think the other thing that he did was demystify some of the historical pieces that we look away from.
A quote from him that I wrote down that I actually, yeah, you're right, really hit for me was taking the best lessons of the past and applying them to the future.
Right.
That hit hard. I was like, you know, because people always talk about like, oh, learn from your mistakes of the past. But he was like, no, take the good from the past and bring it into the future.
Right.
I love that. That's such a good note to end on.
It feels like it.
I love that. That was great. Thank you so much, Mark.
You're welcome. I'm usually more charged up at the end of this, but right now I just feel like really like I want to synthesize everything that was shared. I'm so excited for y'all to listen to this episode at home. It's so powerful, and Sean is very hard to schedule because of his gifts. And I think that, you know, we'll all be a lot better off for this episode living in perpetuity. So tune in, share, like, do all the good stuff. And
I'm going to go cook a chicken.
You're damn straight you are. And it's going to be perfect, and you're going to be shocked with your own brilliance.
I can't wait.
I'm Mark Brand, and you've been listening to Better.